The WNBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up on 100 times your entry in Underdog Fantasy Pick'em for your chance to win $250 in bonus cash and a special pick for first-time depositors. Use that promo code NBASGPN. That's NBASGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com. We're also brought to you by the... No, that's it. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the WNBA Gambling Podcast. Sports Gambling Podcast Network. No me, no the voice, no the guy. It's me, really real, villain real. Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. Y'all are soft. Well, not y'all. Our listeners aren't soft, but there's a big number of people that are soft. That's all we're gonna say about that. Either way, that doesn't matter. We can talk about something that does matter though, and what does matter is we are on a absolute heater going on. I mean, I don't. That's the thing that everybody should be talking about. I don't know how everybody's talking about softness, physicality, all of this stuff. The same people that that preach that this is too physical are the same people that said Kobe Bryant was a legend for running through Paul Gasol's chest in Olympic game. So yeah. That's all I got to say there. What I can say is the more important thing is that somehow, some way, we have ended up 10 episodes into this season, and I am 10-1 on my locks.
That's pretty good.
I literally don't know how to comprehend it. And this isn't like, knock on wood, I got wood right here. So this is not me jinxing or me like trying to like mess up or bad energy around the heater. This is just pure acknowledgement over what just happened. Because what? That is insane. That's actually insane. Last episode, Mystics plus 15.5 came through and really, actually, so much more less of a sweat than I actually intended. Somehow, some way, in a slate that I thought was ugly and really, really hard and tough. And I started the last episode 4-0 in ATS. However, all of that and the Wings still didn't get the win outright.
Shot there.
That's really frustrating. That's really frustrating. So I missed my dog. Wings plus 300 on the money line. Didn't get my dog. Hit another lock. Locks moved to 10-1 on the season. 3-8 on my dogs. Really, really tough there. Scott, you hit a lot. McGowan under 9.5 rebounds. Shout out to the show for sweeping the lock section. You had Asia Wilson 30 plus points at plus 250, and she had 28
on 27 shots. She took 27 shots. It was right there, but unfortunately, she couldn't get it. But oh well.
It's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough out here sometimes. It really is. I don't know what to do about that. That's just the absolute heater. And I mean, like, we're just gonna enjoy it. We acknowledged it happened, and now we are into a very, very fun next 2 weeks because all these games are Commissioner Cup playoff games. Well, Commissioner Cup in-season tournament games. And so if you do not know what the Commissioner's Cup is, and you're just now joining us, then I will explain it right after I talk to you about, after I introduce my co-host here, Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on? Whoa, where's yours? There it is.
Scotty, beam me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, doing pretty well. As you said before, I hit the lock with McCowan. Her rebound number is still mispriced. She played 25 minutes. I think she got benched basically the entire fourth quarter. So that ended up working out well for me. Lock didn't get there. A bit of a heartbreaker is what it is. You mentioned before about people being soft. I'm not going to dive fully into that, but I will say the first Commissioner's Cup game, pretty good. Pretty solid game on TV yesterday.
1 point. Hey, it was a 1 point win. Like, it was a really, really, I thought it was a really good game. Like, aside from, all the narratives and everything, I thought it like a really, really good game. It was, and then the Sky and the Fever, like, people don't know, it's kind of a little like area rivalry. Like, it's not too long. They used to bus to each other to the games. And I think they still, I don't know if they still take the bus or not, but I know back in the day, instead of catching a flight, like those two teams would just bus from Indiana, Chicago, Chicago, Indiana, and
And
so
also,
forth, so on.
might sound a bit crazy. Of both those teams, they used to be good.
Yeah,
So the rivalry actually, was a
yeah.
big deal. But definitely a solid game. Cardoso played, I believe, her first game of the season. I thought she looked solid. Angel Reese still needs to work on her post game, but she was great on the boards. I believe she tied the franchise rookie record for most offensive rebounds in a single game. Great
Mhm.
rebounder. The paint stuff needs some work, but solid game. Indiana looked extremely lost late, but they ended up getting right over the finish line to get the job done after Mabry did split those free throws at the end. Crazy game. Indiana picks up their second win of the season. Chicago had a game I don't want to say should have won, but they definitely had their chances, and they just didn't convert. But good win for Indiana.
Yeah, I just do not. Cardosa is gonna be so good. Like, it's really, really insane. Like, she came in there in limited minutes and immediately made an impact
Mhm.
on the game. Immediately, she dominated on glass. Uh, she didn't force fouls and over the backs, but I think that was really just because the ball didn't fall her way. There was a couple of times where they were trying to box her out, where I was like, man, if the ball fell her way and she got her hand on the ball, that would have been an over and back, and that would have been going the other way. Like, it's so many ways. If she's just a little bit more of a offensive game, then she's good. But it's so easy for her because she can just catch it around the rim and just put it back up. Like, oh man, see, like, oh, she's so good, and it's just immediate. It was immediate where I was tweeting like, man, I really, really hope that Teaspoon go and plays her in the fourth because I knew she was on a minutes count. I thought she might not play the fourth quarter. Like, she's really good, man. She's gonna be really good.
I mentioned this to you, though, before we went on air, and I'll say it again since we are on air. I still have questions about the actual spacing with Cardoso
Mhm,
and Reese because the offensive games of both players are, let's put it this way, raw up to this point. We saw Angel Reese go, I think, 2 of 9 yesterday, and
mhm,
some of her finishing needs a lot of work. But that's the main concern. The rebounding advantage should be definitely in favor of Chicago with those two on the floor. The rebounds are going to be crazy. But I have to at least point out that the offensive, I'd say, lack of spacing when Reese and Cardoso are on the floor together, it's worth monitoring. Let's put it that way.
mhm. All right. And it's a lot of people that even like Natasha Howard even has a little bit of a 3-point shot when she plays alongside Tierra McGowan, so that she's able to space the floor a
Mhm.
little bit better. So like, yeah, but I think all that's gonna come with time,
They'll
especially,
figure it out. Just as of right
yeah,
now.
especially when Angel Reese gets an offensive bag, she's gonna be really, really good, man. Like, it's everything that she gets right now is transition layups from steals that she forced. Everything is putbacks, everything is free throws. As soon as she can score on the court, her own, like in the post, she's a 17, 18 point per game scorer rather easily, like rather easily. So, all right, college baseball tournament started already, and Noah Beanick has you covered. He's over there dropping college baseball experience episodes with a whole bunch of games. And make sure you tap in because I got the High Point Panthers. Shout out to High Point. The High Point Panthers were plus 250, and they went outright. They walked it off, Scott. Make sure you tap in with Noah Beanick, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket for his contest. And you can absolutely go make sure you get some nice picks from him. All right. Let's talk about the games that are actually being played today. We have 4 games. They're starting at 3 p.m. on the East Coast. The Connecticut Sun traveled to Atlanta to play the Atlanta Dream. Dream catching 3.5 here. Open up at 2.5, down up to 3.5. 159.5 is the total in this one. Injury report for these two teams, nothing for the Connecticut Sun. The Dream, Jordan Canada is still out with that hand injury. Other than that, nothing to report. It looks like Ali Shagray, who was questionable last game against the Aces, is full on go. All right. So, Scott, Dream coming off a win against the Aces. And what I can say is probably one of the better defensive games I've seen from them in a really long time. 2 in a row. This Dream feels like that they want to be the 4 seed. They want to be one of the top 4 teams in the W. Do they get it done against Connecticut after taking out the Aces?
I think I actually am going to take the Dream. Now, I was wrong about the last game. I thought the Aces would give them, I don't want to say an ass kicking, but I thought that they would eventually wear them down and I did think
Mhm.
Asia would have another solid game. She did. Thought she'd be a bit better, but it just seemed like you're looking at the Dream, and they were in control for a decent portion of it. There were moments where you thought maybe the Aces were going to open up a lead, and maybe you'd see the game get away from them, and they just hung around. They did a good job. I thought the Dream handled adversity well. We talk about it every year that they're a really bad road team compared to their home numbers, because at home, the Dream are very good. And you're looking at the Dream just being really solid at home again. We're able to beat the Aces. They look good. And defensively, they were fantastic, which was the main question mark that we had for this team, was that defensively, I wasn't sure if they'd be able to lock in the way that they kind of needed to in order to beat the Aces. And they did. Defensively, they were great throughout the entire game. So I think with that being the case, I'm going to lean to an under in this matchup, but Connecticut's undefeated. I find it pretty trappy that the undefeated team is only laying 2.5 or 3. We just saw the
Like
Dream
what?
beat the Aces. They're not going to be intimidated. I keep mentioning it, though. The Sun keep winning games with the exception of the one game against the Mercury where they played defense like the prime Bulls or the prime bad boy Pistons. A lot of their games are close. They don't really blow teams out. So even though they are undefeated, I don't want to say that it's an illusion, but I do wonder if Connecticut's actually as good as the record indicates, because a lot of these games have been nail biters. I'm gonna take Atlanta in this one. I think beating the Aces might instill some confidence. Maybe the momentum carries over. Connecticut's traveling on the road. It's a tough spot. They had a very tough game against Dallas, which they barely won over the weekend. I'm going to go with Atlanta. This line feels very short to me. I'll go with Atlanta to officially give the Sun their first loss of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about it last game. Atlanta as a home dog is really not the spot that you want to play them. Like, it's really not. And just think about what Atlanta is. Just the city of Atlanta in the atmosphere. It's a vibe. It's fun. It's hype. They're going. You go to Atlanta Dream games and they're out there. Big Boy is DJing. Like, you have all this other things, and all. It's a party. It's a vibe. This team loves playing at home. And when you're
What do they
sitting
have?
here and you're telling
The
them, huh?
lemon pepper wings?
Yeah, lemon pepper Lou wings down the street. And hey, man, look. So it's just like, I think that all of that, just thinking about what the city of Atlanta is and how good this team can play at home, and when they're other underdogs, it's a really nice spot to get some plus money and some points with a team that can honestly compete. And all they have to do is lock in on defense. Like, if they play at home and they lock in on defense, the Dream are actually pretty much a top 4 team. They're really, really talented. They're gifted on the offensive end. It's just that they lose focus defensively at times. And if this is a defensive game and the Dream they have too much offense. I just think they have too much offense for the Sun, that if this is a defensive game and the Dream are playing defense, that the Dream are going to find a way to pull through, where the Sun can get stagnant on offense. And that's always been the critique of them for years. They've always been a top defensive team, but it's always been a question of, hey, there's those times when we watch you play basketball that you go on these 5-minute droughts, and you can't do that against teams that you can't defend, like teams that won't let you defend them. You cannot do that. So yeah, man, I'm all over. I think I'm all over the Dream here. I think this is a letdown. I think this is a letdown for the Sun, who are 7-0. Like, we're talking about a letdown for the Dream beating the Aces. The Sun are 7-0. 7-0. That doesn't happen often. So
I don't
yeah,
call the Sun overrated, but I think we'd agree, even though they are undefeated, we don't view them as being the best team in the league, right?
no, I don't.
So I think we're expecting a little bit of regression moving forward. They're still solid, but I do
Yeah,
think that they're
very
not the
good
number one
team.
team in the league.
I agree. All right. Totals at 159.5. What do you like here?
I'm going to go with the under in this one. We saw the Dream buckle down. They held the Aces to 74 points. They held the Mystics to 67. I know the Mystics are injured, but still, that's a solid showing there. The Sun defensively, we know, are great, and I do think that you're going to see a defensive focus in this game that people might not be expecting from Atlanta. I also am wondering if you're expecting a playoff atmosphere, because I
Mhm.
don't care what anybody says, that Fever Sky game was a playoff atmosphere yesterday. I do wonder if that's going to be another wrinkle to add, where in the in-season tournament, you might see me, I don't want to say the refs calling less, but I do wonder if you're going to see a bit more nerves, a bit more intensity. And I feel like from what we saw one game in, we definitely got that. So
Mhm.
I am going to go with the under in this game. Do you agree with the extra playoff type atmosphere kind of angle, or do you think I'm reading into it too much?
I don't think extra playoff type atmosphere, but I do think that it's more of Atlanta just saying, just licking their chops and saying, "Hey man, we're actually really one of like if you go through the weekend and you beat the Aces and the Sun, you're undeniable. You are undeniable. They have to look at you. You have to be talked about on any WNBA platform. And if they don't, then it's pure ignorance because that's two of the top teams in the past 3 years. So I think that's just motivation, not less a playoff, and maybe it's playoff atmosphere for the Atlanta Dream and the Dream only. And maybe that's motivation and just that, hey, we just knocked off the two top teams in a weekend. I think they had this weekend circled. I think they had this weekend circled. Two home games against two of the top two teams in the league. And this is the point where you say, hey, we're undeniable. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Scott, I'm with you. Total, I don't know if I can get behind a full game under just because I know Atlanta can be incredible offense out of anywhere. So I saw somebody say it, and I'm not sure if that's the line. I have to double check. But Sun team total under 81.5. I do agree with that. I think that is a really good play. I don't think the Sun are going to be able to score. It's just how Atlanta's locked in right now, and it makes me nervous taking a team total under with another team against the Dream. But I did mention. I feel like no, that was the Wings. Never mind, it wasn't that. Oh, but I said the Wings game. Who another team I questioned defense, team total under for the Sun, and I didn't pull the trigger, and I kind of kicked myself about it because it went clearing under. I'm on the under here for the Sun again, so that's my play on the total Sun team total under.
By the way,
Player props.
the Sun have scored less than 75 points in 3 of their last 4 games, and they've scored less than 75 in each of the last 2 games. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that team total might be a bit high.
yeah, I agree. All right, player props. What you like?
Well, we got to start with potentially big player making big time plays. Do you want to go with AT? I feel like when you're looking at an atmosphere like this, you're probably expecting her to have a good game, either on the
Mhm,
boards. I don't mind the rebounds in this game. I think that she's going to be impactful in pretty much any way she wants to. That's how good she is. She had
mhm,
a borderline triple double last time out. Her assists rate are at 8.5, which is actually plus money towards the over. I think I'm going to stay away from that though because the Dream did look better defensively last game, and historically speaking, AT's actually not done well assist wise against Atlanta. But I do think the
mhm,
rebounds might be appealing. It's at 9.5, and it is plus 105. Not really done much on the boards recently, but you are looking at her numbers head to head against the Dream. She has had at least 10 rebounds in 3 of the last 4 meetings, so that can be a potential option. I think, though, if
mhm,
I had to fade anybody, I might actually fade Tina Charles rebounds. I'm going to try to experiment with some, I'd say, overall matchup stuff, but from what I can tell, the Sun are really, really good at preventing rebounds. They're number 1 in the
mhm,
league at preventing opponent rebounding, and Tina Charles is at 8.5 right now. You can find the under at minus 122. So going through her last couple games, she had 15 against Washington, but she has had less than 9 in 2 of the last 3 games. So I do wonder if Connecticut's going to be able to potentially shut her down and to at least make her work for her boards because the team commitment to rebounding for Connecticut's actually incredible, and it's a big reason why they're undefeated. They eliminate
mhm.
so many second chance points just by rebounding the ball. So maybe a Tina Charles fade might be worth a look. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's just so many. They're so tall and they're so long, and the only issue with that I have is that they need Tegan Charles to help with the rebounding.
Yeah.
Like, so she may have more of like an emphasis of saying, "Hey, I know this is a tough matchup. Let me go out there and make sure I do my part and get mine." But I think the analysis there is really spot on, and so yeah. Uh,
If we're picking
let's
Atlanta, are we just picking Alicia Gray to have a big game? Or are you picking Ryan Howard?
I think both of them actually can have
Both? Okay.
a big game, but I'm gonna give the spotlight to Alicia Gray here because looking at 7 of the last 9 home games she's had, she's gone over 17 and a half points. She's averaging 18.8 at home. You look at what she's done against Connecticut last season, she had 18, 27, 18, and 17. She's been there consistently. She shot pretty good percentage in those games as well. So just familiarity, good matchup for her. Alicia Gray, who's been really, really good. She's gone over this line in 4 of 6 this season. I think that this is a pretty good spot for her at 17 and a half. And then Ryan Howard is pretty much the same thing here for me. Her points and rebounds, she's gone over in what is it? 8 of her last 10. She's gone over 22.5 points and rebounds, averaging about 26.4 during that span. And so yeah, I think I'm just gonna trust the stars to just go ahead and get this done for the Dream today. Let's see anything else here. AT assists. So AT on the road in 4 of her last 5 home games, she's gone over that 8.5 assist prop, and it makes sense when you think about it. You go to your consistent offensive option to make sure that the offense finds some way to catch some rhythm on the road. She's going to go run the offense, run sets, and just try to get them and manufacture them points. Even though I like the team total under, I still think AT can go ahead over assist because of the pure usage that she has and how many times she has the ball in her hands. Even in the under game, she can still go out there and get you a bunch of assists. So AT over 8.5 assists is still the play for me.
All right. Anything else? Or should we move on?
No, we can move on. But before we move on to the next game, got to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. Look, easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their fantasy pick'em is simple as picking just higher or lower on player stats such as points, rebounds, assists, points, rebounds, and assists, or much, much more. You can make WNBA, just straight WNBA plays, or you could add NBA, or you could add MMA, or you could add golf, or you could add MLB, or you could add a whole bunch of other stuff. So make sure you go and you try to win up to 100 times your money. It's a ton of fun, available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Florida. Yes, they just launched their Champions Player versus Player format in Florida. Make sure you sign up with that promo code NBA SGPN, and claim your special pick. First time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. And hold on, Canada, I didn't forget about you. You can tap into. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. All right, Scott. The Los Angeles Sparks on the road going to play against the Phoenix Mercury. Mercury opened up at 4.5. They are now currently laying 5. 163 is the total here. Injury report for these two teams, and I have for the Los Angeles Sparks, Laisha Clarendon is out. They are out with a concussion, and we have the Phoenix Mercury. Rebecca Allen is also out with the concussion. She's not going to play today. And Brittany Griner, is still rehabbing that fractured toe. All right. And Azrae Stevens is still out. By the way, I forget, Azrae Stevens come back to that Sparks team. Might have something to talk about there. Yeah, might have something to talk about there. We'll reevaluate that whenever she comes back, but maybe have something to talk about. But other than that, Scott, I've seen this team's schedule in the month of June. The Mercury might be the Mercury might be the easiest. The Mercury might be. No, they just have a hard schedule. Like, this is just a brutal schedule, a really, really brutal schedule for this month. And I'm of the thought that I'm just going to continue to fade them this entire month because I think this is where our under catches steam and value. Because if they go this entire month without a win, then everybody's talking about how good that under looks. So I'm fading them. I don't think they're good enough. I think that it's pretty clear who this Phoenix team is, and they're going to suck against the good teams, and they're going to get kicked and beat up by the Liberty, the Lynx, the Sun, Dallas. But when they play those lesser teams, they're going to go out there and they're going to beat some ass. Like, that's it. It's a clear tier difference. They are not a bad team, but they're not a really good team either. They're just really solid, and I think that's who this Mercury team is. That's enough to cover 5. I don't think they have an answer. I think that the Sparks are going to struggle defensively here to stop all the offensive options. And the Mercury have been waiting. They have been waiting. I mean, 71 against the Lynx, 78 against the Liberty, and you kind of got up for that one. 47 against the Connecticut Sun. They have been waiting games to have an offensive explosion again. They get it today. I'm all over the Phoenix Mercury to dominate the Sparks today. Lay the 5.
So preseason, you were higher on this Mercury team than I was. I thought that they would be overrated, and so far they're 3-5. So we'll see what happens. But the one thing we do know every year, and it does seem like the trend is repeating: fade the Mercury at home, fade the Mercury on the road. Trust them at home. and nothing really changed. The last couple games you mentioned against Connecticut, against the Liberty, and against the Lynx, all on the road, they're going to be thrilled to be returning back to Phoenix for this game. The Sparks, I don't think are any good. Now, they are definitely not as bad so far this season as the Mystics and probably the Fever at this point. But I do have to point out that I still don't think the Sparks team is that good. So with that being the case, I think we're in agreement. I'll go with the Mercury. It is a very nice bounce back spot when you face off against 3 of the top 5 teams in the league. I know Dallas, you can argue somewhere in there with all the injuries, I'll demote them for now. The point is you faced off against 4 playoff teams in a row, and now you're against one of the worst teams in the league at home. It is a very nice scheduling spot with the Commissioner's Cup to kind of throw everything else that just happened out the window over the past week and just to lock back in against a bottom feeder at home in a Commissioner's Cup game. I agree with you. I think that the Sparks are not a great team. They might be better than I thought they were going to be. They're still not very good. The Mercury have more firepower offensively by a wide margin. I do think that Cloud bounces back. I think that Copper should have a matchup, I'd say, advantage no matter who she's against. But I do think you're looking at a spot where it does seem like Phoenix might be a bit, I'm trying to think of the right word. I think people might be overhating on them, or they might be selling a bit too hard on the Mercury. When that schedule over the last couple of over the last week or so was really, really hard. That's a really tough schedule, and now that they have an easier opponent at home, I'm expecting a bounce back. So I'm going to go with the Mercury -5.5.
Pause. Please go like the video on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, just go to my Twitter, and I put a YouTube link. Go like the video on YouTube. Appreciate it. Really, really appreciate that. I
think we just see the
I
game the
agree.
exact same way.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I think that 5's not enough. I think this is a double-digit win.
If the Mercury are engaged enough, and if they are still good at home, which they have been for many years, they're just awful on the road. This is usually a 10-plus point win. Usually.
Mhm.
So we'll see if they can pull it off. But yeah, I also wonder if nerves will play a factor. The Sparks are a pretty young team. They have some experienced players, but some youth as well. First Commissioner's Cup game. So kind of a weird atmosphere. You're traveling to Phoenix. Crowd should be up for it. Yeah, I think it's a good spot for Phoenix.
All right. 163 is the total. I will take Phoenix team total over. I think they're going to score today, and I think they're going to be very, very good offensively. I don't trust any output I'm getting from the Sparks. Maybe they score, maybe they don't. They probably I can't. No, I'm not battling with this. So yeah, I don't trust the Sparks at all in this spot. They got to show me and prove it to me. Phoenix team total over. I think they've been waiting for this chance to have an offensive explosion since Dallas. They get their chance at home.
Yeah, I just like the over anyway. I do agree about the team total, but at this point, I just think that even if the Mercury do win, I don't trust them defensively. There is a chance that we are wrong about the side and the Sparks are able to score, but I see a couple ways for this game to get into the mid-160s or even maybe 170. So I think I'm just going to go with the over in this game.
All right. Player props. Eric. Yes. I've been waiting for the chance. I've been quietly sitting behind and saying, and just like, nope, this isn't a game for Natasha Cloud Assist. Nope, this isn't one. Now we're back. She's gonna have so many options.
Price. It's a great price.
So give me Natasha Cloud over. What's the line you got, Scott?
I see 7.5 at +105.
Yeah, I think she gets to 10. I think she's double territory today, possibly. But I would definitely take 10 because sometimes she doesn't give a fuck about scoring. I think she gets to 10. She's gone over that in. I'm sorry, she's gotten to 10 3 times this season, by the way.
If you want to go for an actual stat that kind of backs the assists in this game, do you want to guess the 2 teams that are allowing the most assists per game in the entire league?
One is the Sparks, and the other Fever.
No, it's the Mercury. It's the 2 teams in this game.
Ah, dang. Okay.
So if you want to go for, so of course I like Cloud, but Hamby assists is at 3.5, and she's had at least.
I was about to say, I was watching the other day, and I was like, dog, she's throwing out some dives.
They give her the ball every single possession, so they kind of run. Yeah, they kind of give her the point forward role.
Yeah, no, she's been getting a bunch of them. I was looking the other day, and I'm like, Hamby has 7 assists. What? Is she in triple-double territory?
But the
So
point is she's
yeah.
had at least 4 in 4 of the last 5. She had 3 last game against Chicago. Chicago's
Hmm.
also very good at preventing assists. Chicago is
Hmm.
allowing the fewest assists per game in the league, and she had 3. So I think 3.5 is actually too low of a number. The Mercury are allowing 21.9 assists per game. I think Hamby over 3.5 assists at -106 is actually a very good deal. So I'll take that. She's going to play probably 35 plus minutes in this game. She's the best player. So give me Hamby over assists.
I like that, but I gotta go back to my moneymaker with Hamby, and that's playing her points and rebounds. Just and it's so funny for those that weren't here because Hamby used to play with the aces. Those aces, yeah, she used to play with those aces. And it was a little questionable how she left, but ultimately it was the best decision for the aces and Hamby because now she has a role where she's the gal and she's absolutely dominating. Her points and rebound has jumped up to 31 and a half, and she still clears this number. And a lot of the time is rather easily like,
The Mercury also have no center. They're using Mack at
yeah,
center,
there's
so it's
no
not.
big. I think she can clear 15 rebounds today. Like just 15 rebounds easily. So 31 and a half. I think she can get to 16 points. Yeah. Yeah. I will still play her points and rebounds over 31 and a half. I would play the rebounds only as well. If you're questionable about the points sometimes, I would play the rebounds only as well. She's been really, really good rebounding basketball. That's at 11 and a half. She's gone over that in all but 2 games this season, which is insane. That this is now the juice line, and she's gone over in all but 2 games. So De'Erica Hamby, and look at the minutes count. If Josh Hart was a WNBA player, there's only 40 minutes in the game, just so you guys know. Only 40 minutes in the game. I know Chicago says 39 minutes. She played 40. She played 40 minutes against Indiana. She played 38 against Dallas. She played 36 against Indiana. She played 37 against Washington. 33 against the Aces and still had 29 points, by the way. And then she played 38 against the Dream. She's playing basically the entire game.
She's
So,
playing LeBron playoff minutes in the regular season. She's
yeah,
just never off the floor. So
yeah,
yeah.
at all. So, Derek, I mean, if you're on the court for that much time, then you just go ahead and you have that opportunity to, score as much. I mean, you have the ball in your hand and put up stats. So that's why Derek Hambry, volume, she's going to get this done. She's never leaving the court. I said Cloud Assist, Clea Copper. I'll take Clea
Yeah.
Copper today as well. I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop her. She's going to get to the mid range and score literally all game. So, all right. What's that? Before we get to the next game of the slate, gotta talk to you about Rhythm because Rhythm has WNBA features that make it easier than ever to use data. Not just watching this show, but you can use data and bet on the W, create custom betting models in seconds, AI bet recommendations for every game, and you can become a better with the power of data. Don't bet the W without Rhythm. Download Rhythm now and start a 7-day free trial of WNBA golf and more. I need to pull up the Rhythm app. I'm curious what Rhythm's play of the day is. Whoa, that was my ring light dying. All right, let's see here. Rhythm's play of the day is. I wonder if Rhythm's mad for me giving out the play of the day. It shouldn't, because it's just going to prove why everybody should go get your product.
No, because if Rhythm's right, then they join the platform. So no pressure,
Ooh.
Rhythm. No pressure.
Rhythm's on. Rhythm actually has a play. I'm backing one of the plays. I'm fading one of the plays. That's crazy. But the highest play is in the next game, Scott. Actually, they
Okay.
like the over 168 and a half in the Fever Liberty 65.7 win probability. 65.7% win probability they have for the over 168 and a half. And hey, I just want you to know if you weren't betting the W for years, and I think it's still a little bit of a trend. I haven't looked at the data recently, but for years, you just played overs on back-to-backs. Teams that were playing on a back-to-back in the W, you just blindly played the over and the game went over. Whether because they just didn't try defense, whether the other team blew them out or whether they were still competitive, points were scored. So makes sense. I'm just letting you know what I've seen in the W in years past. That actually tracks with what Rhythm has going on. So make sure you download Rhythm wherever you get your apps. All right, let's go ahead and talk about that game. Indiana Fever on the road going to play the New York Liberty. Liberty are laying 14 and a half here. 168 and a half is total injury report for these two teams. And I have for the Indiana Fever, they played yesterday, but Fagbile is out for a while. Don't have anything else to play. Uh, for the New York Liberty, Courtney Vandersloot is questionable with that back injury. I'm sorry, with that back injury. She did not play last game. And Nyara Sabally has joined the injury report with a back as well. She's going to be out. So missing a depth piece for the Liberty here. And we'll see if Courtney Vandersloot plays or not. All
I
right.
don't want to sound harsh, by the way, but I have to ask, since the Liberty did win last game, did you really notice at all that Vandersloot just wasn't playing? Because I knew that she wasn't on
No,
the court,
because
but no, they looked
no,
fine.
I noticed because Kayla Thornton went out there and dropped 20. So that's how I noticed. Courtney
I
Vandersloot
kind of
wasn't
just
out
meant,
there
like,
just
did they
dropping
look
20.
worse without her on the court? No. Did they look
Nah,
arguably better?
and
I don't think it
Sabrina
really
got to
mattered.
had the ball in her hands. Like she got to have the ball in her hands. She looked really good. Like stop taking the ball out of her hands, man. So I don't know, man. I'm waiting for. I just want to live or die with Sabrina at this point. If she's gonna be the girl, if she's gonna be that player that she was projected to be, where she was the quote unquote first Caitlin Clark. Like if she is gonna be that person, give the ball in her hands and let's figure it out. Let's
Yeah.
figure it out. But I mean, Kayla Thornton, 20-point game in the starting lineup. That was huge. I'm not gonna lie. We have a system. We don't lay double digits with the Liberty, except against the Fever. It's actually the only time they covered the line was against the Fever. Fever had played a back-to-back, and honestly, just everybody gets up for this team and gives them their best shot.
Defending
I don't know if
champions.
I want. Yeah, I'm gonna just continue to play the Liberty with no thought at all, and just continue to do what we've been doing. And we don't lay double digits unless it's against the Fever, because the Fever are horrible defensively, and this Liberty team is really, really good offensively. And now it's just Kayla Thornton. If she's gonna go out there, she's gonna be scoring like that. They actually do have some quality bench pieces that I want to see play more and see if, hey, are these gonna be people that can help a playoff run when they need to come in the game? This is their opportunity as well. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 14.5 with Liberty here, but it's not one of my better plays.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree on this one. The reason why I asked before about Vandersloot is people might say, oh, well, she's not going to play. I don't think she's worth anything to a point spread. I don't think that she's actually worth anything because Ionescu looked great last game. You mentioned Thornton looked very good. It just seemed like the chemistry was there, and they scored 90 points. And the Mystics might not be a good team, but defensively, they can bring it sometimes. And you're looking at the Liberty, you look good offensively. Now, they play 2 times this season. The Liberty won the first meeting by 36 points. They played right after that, and the Liberty won by 11. They just scored 91 in that game. I believe they were coasting in that game, though, and they ended up kind of letting their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter. So they were kind of covering that line for a decent portion. They were up by 20 at the half. So the Liberty were dominant in the first 2 meetings, and they kind of stopped caring. I am going to go with the Liberty in this one. I know that we tend to not want to back. We really don't like backing the Liberty, laying double digits, but the Fever play yesterday, it was an emotional win. It was an exhausting win because those teams killed each other over the course of those 40 minutes. On top of that, I think you'd agree with it, even though we do like the feistiness of the Sky team, the Fever didn't really look good at all in that game. They were able to win. Like I'm just going to call it. I'm just going to say what it is. Both teams didn't look great throughout the course of that matchup. It looked like kind of a bottom feeder battle, and that's what we got. But I think you're looking at the Liberty just being a really bad matchup for the Fever, especially now that you're missing one of your best forwards on the roster. Boston's been in foul trouble most of the year. We also know her production's been a bit hit or miss. Nolissa was very good yesterday, but as the season has gone on, she's also kind of been hot and cold so far this season. And now you have to deal with Jonquel and Brianna. That's not a great matchup for you to have when you're missing one of your better actual forwards on the roster. And fatigue could be an issue. You're traveling from Indiana to New York. The spot really sucks for Indiana.
And they got their first win at home.
It's a great win. It was an emotional win. We faded them off of this spot already this season when they won a game, faced off against the Aces the day after, and they lost by 20 and change. I see a similar story here. The Liberty should dominate the boards. They really have too much firepower for this team, and fatigue should be an issue. The Liberty might win this game by 20-25. They finally figured some stuff out against the Mystics in the second half of that game last time out. I think that they can build on that. They might score 100 in this game. Who knows? It wouldn't shock me. But a Commissioner's Cup game, They are the defending Commissioner's Cup champions, so there might be a sense of pride here on their home floor.
Ooh, Scott.
I think the Liberty bury him.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that last one. I like that last one. That just made me a complete.
The only trophy we got as fans. I gotta at least
man.
mention it.
Hey, shout out to it. We should put a banner up. The Lakers got to put a banner up. Why don't we put a banner up? Do we have a banner up? I don't think they do. Wow. Let's go get a banner.
As a Nets fan, there have been no new banners for the last probably like 20 years. So yeah, throw the banner up. I don't really care.
168.5. We already talked about it. I'm on the over. Is there any pushback?
I can't go against it. There's a 65% chance it goes over. So yeah, I'll go with the over for this game. I think the Liberty might score 100, so I'll go with the over.
Hey man, Brianna Stewart's playing the fever. I'm really mad at her for not going over last game, but like she's playing the fever. I have to play.
To be fair, her rebounds and assists were kind of crazy. Last game, the points just took a backseat, but the rebounds were very, very impressive.
15? What?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, points and rebounds today for Brianna Stewart. I would take.
I don't know who's going to guard her. You're going to put Nalissa on her and just say good luck. You got to put Boston probably on John Quell, right? Like I don't know who's going to guard her.
Yeah, and then the fact that they kind of get sleepy on defense, and the real good thing about Brianna Stewart is her off-ball movement and how she's just able to move, get open, create for herself, and get to the basket and cut lanes to the basket. Like, yeah, Brianna Stewart is going to score today. This is a bounce back game. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm probably going to end up having a Brianna Stewart ladder by the time this tips off at 7. But yeah, I'm all over Brianna Stewart. I'm probably going to play Sabrina's assist as well. And just continue to play that angle of she's probably going to feed off of Brianna Stewart and continue to feed Brianna Stewart the ball. Brianna Stewart's going to have. And it's going to boost Sabrina. Sabrina could be in double-double, maybe even triple-double territory in this game. So I think it's a pretty good, solid, maybe not. She's more passive shooting and she just gets everybody else involved because the defense is going to be so bad on the other side of the ball. So Sabrina Ionescu assist.
Especially if Vandersloot doesn't play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If Vandersloot plays, it actually kind of ruins it a little bit for me. But if she doesn't play, I'm all over Sabrina Ionescu to just dominate having the ball in her hands and making plays for everybody else. All right. And she had 9 in that game against the Mercury.
Mm-hmm. Although if you wanted Brianna double-double, that's at -120.
-120. Dang, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, her rebounds are at 9.5 at like -110, so you might as well just take that instead. But
I question the fever because I don't know what effort or what.
It's on a back-to-back. You don't know what to expect from this team.
Yeah, I question fever props. I may get there later in the day, but I just don't have anything for them right now. I really question it. I don't, because they could really lay an egg and just not do anything.
They got their game. They won their first home game. Yeah, they might just take a nap.
All right. Last game of the slate. Talk about Dallas Wings going to play the Minnesota Lynx. Lynx open up laying 4.5. It's all the way up to 7.5 now. 164.5 is the total injury report. And we have for the Dallas Wings, Jaylen Brown is out with the illness. Satu and Natasha Howard are both still out. For the Minnesota Lynx, oh crap, I gotta learn how to pronounce her name. Jesus Christ. Cecilia. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Cecilia for now. Probable, and Diamond Miller still out.
By the way, it's Zan Delanacini.
Zan
Delanacini.
Okay. All right, cool.
Actually, I just added an extra letter. Actually, it's Zan. it's Zan. It's Van Delasini. Zan Delasini. There we go.
Zan Delasini. Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it.
This is such a tricky game.
I don't think the Wings are the Mercury. I don't think the Wings are the Mercury. I think they're better. I don't think we can lay the points.
The question is the injuries. That's kind of the main question mark you have with Dallas right now.
But they have the size that they can get past that. Elisa Pile's not going off like she did. She's not. It's too much size. Elisa Pile's not going off.
Did she miss a shot?
No,
I'm
taking Wings.
No, right? She didn't miss a shot in that game, right?
If she did, it was only one. Let me go back and
Okay.
check. If she
I was
did,
gonna
it was
say, I
only
think she
one.
had basically a flawless game off the bench, but I don't remember if she actually missed a shot or not.
All right. This Pele, yes, she missed 2. 7 for 9,
Okay.
4 for 4 from 3. So
That's where I
and
was confused.
then
Okay.
20 points. She's not doing that this time around. She No, they just took advantage of the size on the inside. You don't have that opportunity with Dallas. I think Dallas is way better than I mean, we've seen it. They won the game against them. I think Dallas is way better. I think that the size for Dallas makes this a closer game, and the rebounding battle makes this a closer game. I'm taking Dallas plus 7.5. It's too many points.
I think we're going to agree. I think 7.5 is too many. At 4.5, I might have been tempted by the Lynx, but 7.5 feels
Yeah.
a bit steep to me. Dallas did almost beat Connecticut. That was a very close game, very competitive. That game was in Connecticut. That's not an easy place to play, and they hung in there. Beat the Sparks on the road. I know the Sparks aren't good, but still a road win nonetheless. Beat the
Mhm.
Mercury, tough place to play, by 15. Even the Dream, they lost to by 5. Apparently, that loss aged pretty well because the Dream ended up beating the Aces. So I guess losing by 5 isn't that bad. I think you're looking at the Lynx winning this game, but I do question now if they're being a bit mispriced because of how good they've been so far this season. And I do wonder if some regression is due for them. Maybe it's not. We'll see. But the Mercury, we know every year, are bad on the road, awful on the road, and pretty good at home. They killed the Mercury on the at home. So I do wonder if the Mercury are going to potentially once again prove that theory correct, that home wins against the Mercury kind of don't really count the same because they just no-show every road game. I wonder if that's the same thing with the Lynx. I wonder if they're mispriced here because of how badly they killed the Mercury, but the Mercury are just a lost cause on the road, and the odds makers haven't realized that yet. So we'll figure that out. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but we have a pretty large sample size suggesting that home wins against the Mercury really don't tell you that much about a team based on what we've seen over the last couple years. So
Mhm.
maybe it's a good sell high spot on Minnesota. I think Dallas, though, has been competitive. They almost beat Connecticut. That's good enough for me. I think Minnesota wins by 5. Close game.
Mhm.
Dallas hangs in there, doesn't get over the finish line. But 7.5 feels a bit large. So I'll go with the points.
Yeah. I feel it that same way. I really do. All right. 164.5 is total. Is Minnesota?
The Lynx are
Probably
so
really.
tricky because they're so good offensively, but they're also really good defensively. So I have a hard time of actually picking their totals, you know?
But like at some point, because 71 to the Mercury, 80 to the Aces is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
79 to the Dream, 67 to the Liberty.
That's kind of crazy, 67 to the Liberty.
Like at some point, you got it, because then you have that 83, and I guess it was overtime. So I guess that kind of adds to it. Oh man, are the Lynx best defensive team in the league?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're good offensively and defensively, so
At
it's
some
really
point, it's
hard.
gotta, bro. At some point, it's gotta. You gotta have a bad. I'm taking over. At some point, you gotta have a bad defensive game. You can't keep playing like this at this level. Give me the over. And it's really the size. I think Sierra McGowan is going to get a lot of easy points on the inside. I think they're just too big. Like I really just think they're too big, and they can get a lot of easy points. So I'll take
Okay.
the over. Not my best play though. All right, player props. Yeah, I think it's the Sierra McGowan game. I don't know if they really have, like, I just don't know what they're going to do about 6-7.
I faded her last time, but that was because Connecticut's really good. So I'm not against
Yeah,
McCown in general. I just thought it was a bad
yeah.
matchup.
I don't know what they're going to do about 6-7. Let me see what she's done against the Lynx in the past. Let me see if that's going to make me feel better about her. I just don't really, and it's like it's a lot.
She's been very, very good against
You have
Dallas.
Mobile, who's 6'4". You have her, who's 6'7". You
You want me to read
got
it off, by the way?
yeah,
Last 2 games that McCown's had against Minnesota, 23 points, 18 rebounds, 10 points, 16 rebounds.
yeah. All right, let's go.
So
Take a
there you go.
rebounds. Just not even gonna question. She's gonna
rebounds are at 8.5 at plus 110.
Wait, what?
It's 8.5 plus 110.
Yeah, all
I
right.
mentioned why last episode. I took the under because her minutes have been
Yeah,
going down, but it's matchup based.
yeah. No, that's dog consideration today.
I might take 10.
Yeah, that's
As
what
a
I'm saying.
dog.
10 is dog consideration.
10
There's
is
dog consideration.
172. I think that's a good price.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I gotta get up out of here,
Double-double's
guys.
260? Okay, all right. 260? All right, sure. I got to mention
All right.
that. I mean, that's a crazy price.
Okay. Here we go. Lock.
No pressure. Or what, 10-1?
Mercury in lane 5.
Okay.
I'm
I
just
like
gonna
it.
go Mercury lane 5. I don't think that I think there is a tier difference here. I think the Sparks are one of the worst teams in the league, and I think the Mercury are not horrible, and they beat up on the bad teams. They've had a really, really rough stretch at it. They had this game circled, ready to get back right. Motivation's all there. I'm laying 5 with the Mercury. That's my lock. For my dog, really want to get this. We're going Brianna Stewart.
Which part?
Brianna Stewart to score 25 plus points is 2-1 against the team
Okay.
that she dominates. And she had 30 on this earlier this season. And Asia had a pretty good game last game. So like she she didn't respond the game prior or the game prior before that. Now's the response. I'm running Brianna Stewart back one more time. Brianna Stewart, 25 plus points, 2-1. That's my dog. Scott, over to you.
All right. So for my lock on the show, I have to think of what I want to go with here because there actually was a lot that I liked for the card today. Quickly just want to see if I could find a potential wire-to-wire line. So let me just quickly see what I could find. Sorry, just give me 1 second. But I think for the sake of this matchup, no, it's minus 200. I can't take that. I was going to look at the Liberty wire-to-wire against the Fever, but that's not a price that I like. I think I'm going to go back to my obscure prop angle, which worked well for the under with McCown rebounds last game. I'm going to go with Hamby. Give me the over 3.5 assists at minus 106. The Mercury are allowing the most assists in the entire league. So I think you're looking at Hamby having the ball in her hands all the time. Even though I'm not sold on the Sparks team, they have been better offensively than I thought they were going to be. And the Mercury have been allowing a bunch of assists. I said before, Hamby's playing 37 plus minutes a game at this point. The workload's insane. Give me Hamby over 3.5 assists at minus 106 as my lock. For my dog, I had a couple of things to go through. You know what? Even though her minutes have gone down, I think I have to be tempted by it anyway. Give me McCown double-double at plus 260. The minutes have been deteriorating. I'm aware of that, but I do think based on the history and the potential advantage that she's going to have on the interior, I think she has to play more minutes. Maybe it's a matchup thing, but when you walk into your last meeting against this team and you drop what'd you drop last game? When you drop 23 and 18 in your last head-to-head meeting against this team, the coach better play you 8 minutes in this game. I think you're looking at her having a very good matchup. If you want to go for the rebounds alone, I don't hate it. But I do think that plus 260 is a very large number for a player who's owned this team historically. Can it blow up in my face? Possibly. If she only plays 25 minutes, you might get there anyway. But McCown double-double at 260, I think is a very, very good price.
What?
I'm going to take that.
This is really insane. It's really,
So,
insane.
yeah, I'll go with McCown double-double at plus 260 as my dog.
All right. Underdog. And then let's get out of here, Scott. So let's go game by game here. Where's McCown? Let's just go ahead and throw her rebounds in there.
8.5 plus money. I mean,
It's at 8 on underdog.
Sure. I'm in.
Higher. Let's see here. Do we run Brianna? Oh, do we run Brianna Stewart points back? Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask what your favorite prop is for Stewie anyway, because you can get the rebounds as well. She might just have a great matchup in general. That's kind of why I'm wondering if
Points and
you want to
rebound is 30.5, bro.
Yeah. Well, her
20
rebounds are 9.5, so that makes sense.
20 and 10 feels so easy. Like,
I mean, I'm trying to think
I'll
of
let you make the
anything
final
else
call.
like.
I'll let you make the final call.
Well, I know that we like Hamby and we also like Cloud, so we had those options as well. I'm trying to think of other
both of
options that we
those.
had. Yeah.
We can do both of those. I really like those plays.
Unless you like Stewie more, we can go with whatever you prefer more.
Let's just run all 4.
4. Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to choose.
That's fine. 4 games, 4 plays. That's fine.
So Cloud assists higher 7. In Hamby, we have We could do PRA. We talked about this. It's 34.5.
Wait,
There
what
we
do you
go.
say? Okay, that's fine.
Tierra McGowan, higher 8 rebounds. Brianna Stewart, higher 21 points. Natasha Clout, higher 7 assists. De'Arica Hamby, higher 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's 10-1 on underdog. $10 gets you $100, so on and so forth. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. Other than that, I have Scott. Anything else?
No, we got no NBA games until Thursday, so we're probably going to have an NBA Finals preview coming up over the next few days. WNBA is still going to be, alive and well, so check in. Make sure you stop by, because not only, once again, are you waiting for the NBA Finals, but what else are you going to watch? You're going to be waiting for the Stanley Cup in a couple days anyway, so you might as well check in. What are you going to watch, baseball? No, come on. I stop in, watch the W.
America's pastime, please. All right. Make sure you like the video on YouTube on the way out. If you're on Twitter, just slide over to YouTube real quick and give us a like there. Helps the algorithm, helps grow the community, all that. Other than that, I have to go. So I have nothing else to say, nothing else to do. No other way of ending the podcast. Just going to end it like this. We are out of here.